Is it a foolish decision to keep your assets in precious metals, silver and gold? Or is it a wise decision? By the end of this video, I want to give you a little clearer understanding, a clearer vision as to whether or not you're making a smart move or a move that could be categorized as not so smart. Let's start with 1971. Richard Nixon took the United States off the gold standard. Well, what does that have to do with anything, you might be asking? Well, because prior to that, the dollar was backed by gold, and things were actually pretty darn good in the United States. Richard Nixon temporarily took the United States off the gold standard and essentially put gold and silver into jail. They couldn't kill it altogether, but they locked it up in jail, and the United States, being the most powerful country in the world, was able to exert a huge influence, keeping down interest in silver and gold, keeping down the price of silver and gold. But recent events are painting a new picture for the precious metals. Some people might say that silver and gold are about to be released on parole. We've got major developments occurring right now. We know the world central banks are buying gold at a pace that hasn't been matched since the world was on the gold standard all the way back in the 1960s. Why is that so important? Because the world central banks are the world's most sophisticated financial institutions. They make the rules. They're able to understand what's going on in the world's monetary system better than anyone. So when we see them buying gold, we want to watch what they're doing, not so much what they're always saying, but what they're doing. And what they're doing is indicating to us that gold is experiencing a renaissance, if you will. Again, they were never able to kill gold because gold and silver are universal assets. They've existed throughout the planet, throughout time, and they've always, for thousands of years, been valuable everywhere on the planet. Another interesting development is the fact that the world central banks and world governments are also repatriating their gold right now, bringing it home. You've probably heard that saying, if you don't hold it, you don't own it. And that's exactly what the world banks and world governments are saying now as they bring their gold home from places like New York and London. What is that telling us? They want to hold their metals in their possession, maybe because they know something is about to happen, maybe because they know that silver and gold have huge value and offer a high level of safety and security in what are becoming some very uncertain times filled with a lot of conflict in the world. If we look at what the BRICS countries are doing, the growing band of countries that are moving away from the US dollar and re-recognizing the value of real assets, and they specifically talk about gold and silver and the prospect, potential at some point in the future of a shared currency amongst these countries like Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and a host of other countries, a shared currency that could potentially be backed by gold is even being raised right now. Even in the United States, we're seeing on a state-by-state basis new laws, new legislation to allow their citizens to reclaim their right to use silver and gold as legal tender. This is very important because the founding fathers of the United States specifically outlined in the United States Constitution that silver and gold are real money. In individual states like Utah, Kansas, Texas, and a host of others have already passed legislation allowing their citizens to reclaim that right. Again, kind of allowing their citizens to take silver and gold out of jail. It poses the question, Why would the states be doing this? Why are individual states, and a growing number of individual states, doing this? Why are governments throughout the world, central banks throughout the world, why are they making these bold moves when it comes to gold and other precious metals? And the exciting part for us precious metal investors is that all of this is happening while sentiment, particularly in the United States, the feeling, the attitude towards gold and silver is still near an all-time low. And you might ask, why is that a good thing? Well, it's real easy. If we measure it on like an A to F scale, wouldn't you give sentiment maybe an F or a D minus? It's a heck of a lot easier to move from a D minus to a C, right? And just a little move like that could bring a wave, a tidal wave of new people into the precious metals market. Because you and me, we're like 1 in 100, 1 in 200 people. If we just get a few more out of 100 who decide to join us, it could be multiples more money coming into the precious metal sector. That would result in not only higher prices, but also higher relative value, because that's how you want to measure the value of your precious metals. Measure it in ounces and compare it to what you can buy with it or what you can trade it for. Compare it against things like oil, land, real estate, residential real estate, commercial real estate, and we could very well be moving into a period where those relative values are going to become much more attractive, much more skewed to the favor of silver and gold. And all of this is occurring in a domestic environment within the United States with political strife and economic uncertainty, fiscal mismanagement like we have never seen before. The prospect of hyperinflation is upon us. The United States is carrying $33 trillion in debt. The deficit alone is well over $1 trillion. The interest expense on all this growing debt is becoming untenable. It's not a happy subject to talk about. I don't like it. You didn't cause it. I didn't cause it. But we have to recognize it for what it is, and it's a mathematical certainty at this point that we're at least going to run into some very difficult times down the road, and people are just now starting to wake up. Recently we had the big ratings agency, Fitch, that downgraded the United States debt. That's brought some renewed attention onto the fact that our financial condition in the United States just doesn't work. What does work, at least for me, is protecting my wealth with precious metals. For me, that's silver and some precious metal gold mining stocks. For you, it may be different. I encourage you, do your own research. Listen to a number of different people. Come to your own conclusions. But I do want to thank you for joining me here today in the basement. It's always a big treat. It's special that you've come down here. You belong. Please come back. And if you like, go watch a live stream. Until next time, you be well. Hey everybody, it's Ron from Ron's Basement, live on the log flume. Say hi, girls.
Hi.